Today we're back here at Classic and Modern in Bracknell to do some more machining work, but this time on the head of our forklift truck engine. Having successfully bored out the block, pressed in the liners and honed them to perfection, we now need to turn our attention to the cylinder head, as LPG can be particularly hard on engines. So the valves and valve seats could be in a bad state, and worn and leaky valves can lose power, cause smoke and make the engine harder to start. So let's go and find Matt, who'll take us through the process. There you're Matt, is that right?
That is.
So this is our head for our forklift truck. So I'm just thinking maybe we could have a little look at that because I'm a bit worried about the valves.
Of course.
So I'm going to get it because you're the expert here.
So obviously it's already stripped.
Yeah.
But a basic way of checking it is we could pull a vacuum through the port.
Okay.
And check how the valve seats are sealing.
Nice.
While we're here as well, what we'll do is we'll check the valve guide clearance as well.
Oh, that's cool. Okay.
So you can do. It's known as a wiggle test. We pop her in the valve in the guide and you can just move it to see how much plays there. And I can tell you already that's absolutely fine.
Cool.
Normally exhaust guides are much more prone to wearing out than inlet.
Okay.
Just due to temperatures.
Yeah.
So inlet wise, all the guides feel good.
Yeah.
Later on we'll clean the valves up hopefully and measure the stems as well.
Yeah.
Make sure there's no wear on them. But we'll put a valve in each cylinder now.
And as a matter of course, when we put the engine back together again, would you lap them back in again to make sure that they're kind of, or is it not really
seeing as you're here, you may as well just get them cut because it's going to take me not very long at all. It'll be less time to cut them than it will to lap them.
Really? Okay, fine.
And again, obviously, we'll just check the exhaust guides as well. As you can feel, there is a slight bit more play there, but well within tolerance.
And there's no worry, because I was worried that the potentially the valves have been kind of pushed into the head, because of the LPG, the lack of.
So yeah, so when you're running on gas, they do have a tendency to hammer through and pull through, because like you said, there's no lubrication in the fuel at all. But they actually look pretty good at the moment. But again, this is the way to test it.
Okay.
This is the best way to do it. Yeah, so we're going to pull a vacuum on here. So if you look on the gauge there, we're getting about 7.5, 8. And then we put it on the port where the valve is, and as you can see, it is down slightly. So roughly 15% down from a perfect seal.
Okay. But that could be dirt. That could be
dirt. That could be a multitude of things at the moment. But until we clean it all, we're not going to know for sure what's what. And again, they're consistent, but they are slightly down. So this one here, as you can see,
it's much worse, isn't it?
Is much worse. Again, we'll clean it up, and then we'll know for sure where we are.
Yeah.
And again, that one's down a little bit.
But not much. Okay.
And then the exhaust will do as well.
That's good, really.
Yeah.
Goodish. Okay.
Not so great. Not very good at all. And not very good at all. So I would say the exhaust seats can go out of round with temperature. And again, being LPG where it's hard and there's no lubrication on the seats, it's very common for that to happen. But
so you end up with a slight gap, it's like it's going to be blowing through.
Yeah, so we'll clean it all.
Yeah.
And then what we'll do is we'll have a proper look at it, and then we can look at the valve seats, see if there's any pitting, any damage, see if the valve started pulling through or anything like that.
As you say, then worst case we can recut them.
Yeah, and it's not going to take long to recut.
To take enough metal on.
Yeah, so we'll go through that when we grind the valves.
Yeah.
But there's plenty on there.
Okay. Cool.
Obviously the springs are already off, so we'll take the valves out and we'll put them in here, and these will go in our ultrasonic machine.
Okay.
Now our ultrasonic machine will only do ferrous materials, so the chemical in it will just absolutely eat the aluminium away.
Okay.
But
let's not do that.
No, but we do have a tank for aluminium that'll get rid of all the carbon. So we'll put this in the acid, we'll put this in the ultrasonic, and then hopefully we'll come back, we'll give these a little wire brush up, these will look lovely, we'll put them in the big parts cleaner, and then we can actually start measuring the stems, checking the valves, and so on and so forth.
So yeah, we may, so it sounds, the problem with the exhaust port there is probably that it's changed shape rather than it's dirty, but then at least we know exactly where we are before we go any further.
And obviously with an aluminium head as well, when you torque it down, as soon as you undo it, even if you follow the sequence, being aluminium, it will distort. And obviously it's gone through heat cycles and that, so hopefully we'll reface it as well.
Yes.
Just bring that back square.
And it makes sense if we're going to be refacing the block, why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
So, okay. No, fantastic. All right, in that case, into the acid bath, a safe acid bath.
Yeah.
Presumably you don't use your hands to get it back out again.
So we'll now put the valves in this little basket and put it in the ultrasonic cleaning machine. And then we'll give it about an hour or so, which is quite convenient for my lunch. And then we'll get them back out and have a look. That's it.
Right then, so while our head pickles and our valves are cleaned by the power of sound alone and Matt has his lunch, it's a perfect opportunity to talk about the identity issues of our little forklift truck here. And obviously it turned up pretty much unannounced. Obviously engine was in a crate, and beyond that I know nothing more about the history of this forklift except the information I can get from this little plaque here on the front of the vehicle. Thankfully that was still there, so I can know at least it's a Caterpillar GP20K, and I can also tell just from the numbers on the engine that it's using the mighty Mitsubishi 4G63, which is used in all kinds of vehicles. But beyond that, I have no idea how many owners it's had, if it's been in an accident or anything like that. But if it had a number plate, well then I could use Car Vertical to actually find out a whole load of information. And in fact, just to be a bit nosy, had a look on eBay, found this JCB loader. On the report here, you can see straight away actually that everything's pretty green except for the financial and legal status. So I'm going to click on that. It's going to take me straight down to that information, which tells me that there's an operating lease in action, so 36 months of lease still to go. So if I was to buy that vehicle, I want to make sure that the current owner was actually to pay that off or sort it all out before I got involved. Otherwise I'd have actually other payments to make. But far more interesting, you have a look at maybe a red Ferrari, for example. You can see now this little chap here is an FF, so it's quite a nice Ferrari, or it was once upon a time. But you can see, although the odometer is okay, actually it's got some issues with the financial and legal status, but also there's some damage. So if I scroll further down, I get a whole load of pictures and I can expand on those. And you can see quite how bad that damage was. And if I just click on there, you can see that the bumper's come off. There's all kinds of stuff going on there. Doesn't look like an easy job to fix. Maybe something for Matt Armstrong, who knows? But if you go further down, you can see actually it hasn't been stolen, which is nice. And you can even get a little graph of all the mileage, which is good as well. So you can actually see that the car looks kind of legitimate and actually it hasn't been rolled back at all. So that's also good. But then we come to this bit which says, beware, the vehicle has been marked as scrap. So I can actually get some more information on that. And it says that it was scrapped in 2018. And that's not ideal because obviously if you want to have it back on the road, that's going to be quite tricky. You can only really use a car like that for parts, and obviously most of those parts will be damaged, but it might still be a bargain if you want a few little bits and pieces. So if you're thinking of buying a car or just feeling a little bit nosy, then use the link in the description. That will take you there and give you a 20% discount. You can equally get that discount by putting in my discount code of EDD20, so ED20. So click it immediately. Right, let's see how that pickling's getting on. It's dissolved, right?
Okay, so we've put the valves in the ultrasonic cleaning machine now, which has loosened up any sort of carbon deposits on the back of the valve.
So what's all that gum? And that's something really sticky and unpleasant, isn't it?
So on the inlet, to be honest with you, I'm not actually too sure. That's really unusual on an inlet valve.
Right, so it's something, but that could be also maybe why the engines was in the box when it turned up.
Yeah.
So somebody's done something, I mean...
It's very slimy, very gungy, and it's not like normal carbon.
Yeah.
So this is an exhaust valve. So obviously this has taken out your pre-combustion. So that sort of flakes off.
Yeah.
Whereas this, I'm not too sure. It's very gungy, and if we look at the rest, it kind of matches what we saw in the ports earlier. So we've got a clean one, a slightly cleaner, slightly dirtier, very dirty.
Right.
So that would match when we vac tested it, why they're not quite vacuuming up right.
Yeah.
So we've got two particularly dirty ones and two a lot cleaner.
Okay.
So that sort of corresponds with that. So it's something to do with the fuel system, that's for sure, on the inlet, or it can be poor combustion. So if this valve isn't sealing properly, when it ignites, it can go past the back of the valve, and then that's why you get covered in this.
But then it wouldn't be that chewy normally, would it?
No, it wouldn't be that bad. In a lot of classic cars, with obviously a lot of ethanol these days, people put additives in it.
Right.
And the additive goes like this. And the other thing as well that people use is a thing called a fuel tank sealer.
Right.
A fuel tank sealer is just about the worst thing you can possibly put in an engine.
Really?
Yeah. We've had loads of engines that have come in where they've seized because it gunges everything up. It gets past the rings into the oil, and the main bearings can seize up and things like that. And the backs of the valves do look like this. But it's double confusing as well because LPG notoriously burns very clean. So, and if you took a 100,000-mile diesel, petrol, and LPG, obviously diesel would be the dirtiest, petrol in the middle, and LPG would look almost brand new. There's very, very little carbon deposits in LPG.
I have no idea what's caused that.
So you can see there's rust on the face as well.
Yeah.
The wire wheel will get rid of all that as well. But we can get them almost looking about 90% new by the time we polish them up.
Okay.
Right, let's clean them.
Yeah. I'll stand way back.
Right.
Awesome.
Now we'll polish the stems on them now. We're going to just put this in the chuck of the drill.
Yep.
We're going to get the Scotch-Brite.
Yep.
And we'll just polish the stem like this. It doesn't take any material away. Yeah, it's just a very light polish.
Yeah.
Just so we can measure the stem for any sort of taper in it, any sort of steps. We'll continue to polish them all. They're not the nicest valves in the world, so they don't actually look that amazing.
No.
Because they're really pitted and horrible.
But let's not be nice about them. I mean, they don't. And they're not. I think you've seen worse, maybe. Not so much. Okay.
It's a forklift.
Exactly. We're not going to. We really don't.
It's not going to be doing loads of miles. No. It's function over form.
Yeah. Look at that. Oh, lovely.
So now we've done a quick polish of the valves. We're going to measure the stem. So we're going to zero the mic. And what we're checking for on these, this is obviously exaggerated. We don't want any taper on the valves or any steps or anything like that. So down the bottom here, we got 312 thou. In the middle, we got 312 thou.
Nice.
And near the top, we got just over 312 thou, and that's absolutely fine. So these measure 313 thou, and the exhaust measure 312.
Okay.
So, thou
so actually,
difference.
it's about spot on.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Cool. So that's good. So we don't actually, even though they're a bit scabby, we don't need new valves, which is another saving.
At the moment, we're going to check if they're straight in a minute.
Okay.
So now everything's clean, so we can actually see what we're dealing with now. So we know the valves are straight in terms of taper, and you can feel there is a bit of movement there.
Yeah.
It's not awful. So how I would describe it is it's excessive for a new limit, but well within service limits.
Okay.
The inlet has got less movement than the exhaust.
Yeah, no, that's definitely, you can definitely feel the difference, but that's good. Okay, so we're good on those as well?
Yep.
Fantastic.
So the idea is we're going to have a 45-degree angle on here.
Yes.
And we're going to have a 45-degree angle on the seat.
Yeah.
So when they pull down, obviously that completely is airtight then. So when your combustion goes off, you don't get any gases going back through, and that can lead to a burnt out valve and you know, misfire, things not working as they should be. So if I pop this in here, you can see on here there's that line.
Yes.
We're going to try and get rid of that basically. So the machine is set to 45 degrees. We've got this spinning, and what we're going to do is we're just going to slowly bring this into the wheel like that, and see there, see that line there? That's the higher bit of the valve.
Yes.
The bit that's not cleaned at the moment is where it's actually been seating on the seat and it's worn away.
Gotcha.
Yeah? So we're going to keep going with it now. So the bit that's cleaned is not ever been in contact with anything.
Yeah.
We're going to bring it in like that, just slowly.
Oh, lovely.
Until it cleans up like that, and then we bring it off the stone. And then what we can do is, we'll have a little look. So all the pitting is gone.
Yep.
There's no pitting on the valve.
Yep.
There's no line anymore, and as you can see, it's completely clean all the way around now. So we've got
brilliant.
a perfect 45-degree angle, ready for the seat to be cut to match that.
Perfect. That's amazing. And how many times can you often kind of and if a valve is just worn a little, and this is done, I don't know how many 100 hours. So how many goes do you normally get before it's just scrapped?
So on this bit here, you have a thing called a margin.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's this bit here. Now some valves are thinner, some valves are thicker. This is quite an industrial engine, it's not performance based in any way.
Yeah.
So you've actually got quite a thick margin. It means it adds more weight to the valve.
Yes.
But it means you've got more goes at
more
doing it.
machining.
Yeah.
Okay. So we've done one, which is great.
Yeah, so we've got another 7 to go.
Crack on. And the air chuck really helps, doesn't it? I mean,
yeah, so the air chuck's got 3 ball bearings in it.
Right.
So when you press the button on the air chuck, it will self-centralise the valve.
Okay.
So you push it in against the stop,
yeah.
that self-centralises, and then off we go. Again, you can see the areas where it has and hasn't cleaned.
Yeah.
That's where the areas that it hasn't cleaned is a bit where it's seating on the seat.
Yeah.
We'll bring it in, because obviously that's the lowest point.
Yeah. And you can see, and the margin becomes clearer and clearer, in fact, doesn't it? Because you've got that nice sort of
clean and dirty, and you can see exactly where we're sort of going with it, really.
And obviously this is another reason why it doesn't matter what order, when you take the valves out of the engine, you obviously the guy's really worried about it, but actually because you're going to recut everything, it doesn't matter, does it?
Some engines are more important than others.
Okay.
So for this particular type of engine, you've got an adjusting screw to do your valve clearances. Yeah, your tappets. Yep. Some engines where they're hydraulic, what we'll have to do is we'd measure the back height of the valve. Right. We'd put the valve in the head and measure how far the stem comes out the back of the head. Okay. And then we'd make that the same when it leaves here. So if we take 10 thou off the valve, 10 thou off the seat, we wouldn't, but for easy numbers, we'd then take 20 thou off the tip of the valve. To the hydraulics, they have a range where they can work and take up the slack.
Exactly. So then, so effectively the machine, even though it's not thinking, it's exactly as it used to be. It's up to spec.
Yeah.
So that's all of our exhaust valves done. So now we're going on to the.
So now we're going to move on to the inlets.
Yeah.
Again, same sort of thing. 45 degree again on this. Some valves are 30, some are 35, but 45 is the most common.
Now what's interesting, I guess, is that we did it a long time ago where we were playing around. I forgot what engine it was, where we actually had. We talked about the triple cut option where you have 3 different angles.
Yeah.
And then there's a school of thought where you actually have a radius, isn't there?
Yeah. So you can, on a valve, you wouldn't have 3 angles. That's more on the seat.
Oh, I see.
But you can do a back cut on the valve. So where we've done this 45 degree angle, you can put a 30 on there as well.
Okay, and that's just to help get the air in?
Just a little bit of airflow over the back of the valve, it just helps it flow a little bit better.
Okay.
But it's only in a performance sort of world where you'd want that.
Yes.
For a forklift, you're never going to notice a difference unless it's going drag racing.
Right. And it might not really have the tyres for that.
So again on these, you can see where the valve's seated. On the seat, the darker area, that's lower. And now we've made it all one level again, nice and fresh. So
you can actually almost hear the change of the cut as well, because when it has all the pressure of cutting the whole across the whole amount.
That's correct. So when some people talk about lapping in valves isn't really a fix. So lapping is more just to show you where the valve's seating. And you can use lapping on a new seat, but to lap old stuff in, you're just wasting your time really, in a sense, because lapping doesn't take material away. It's never going to take pitting out of a valve. It's never going to take that area where we can see the dark areas where it's seating. Yeah. It's never going to be able to grind solid metal away. It's just more of a tool that if you're 99% there, just as a little finish.
Yeah, okay. That's interesting. So actually all those years I've been just doing a little bit of a lap in, at least in my Beetle particularly, every so often I guess change or just check the timing. Yeah. But actually, or the gaps at least, you're saying that really just the lapping is almost pointless actually in that case, because we're not doing any extra work afterwards.
No, it works to clean a seat up that's already nearly there.
Okay.
But it won't
it
won't take away metal, it will just smooth the metal that's there, if you know what I mean. It's effectively sandpaper.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Do you know? And it's just to polish it up a little bit, just to get that contact angle perfect.
So yes, carry on. There's all of them. We did it. Yeah. You're quick.
It's done.
Doesn't take you long to do a 5-minute job like it. All right, so now the valves are actually all cut. Yeah. So then that becomes almost like our datum. So we're now going to go to the head, and then we're now going to do the valve seats itself. So now we've got our 45 on our valve, we're going to get our 45 again
on the seat.
On the seat itself, and then that way they're going to seal beautifully.
Yep.
And then it's going to keep all those explosions inside.
Yes.
That's what we're all about.
That's the plan.
Smashing. Fantastic. Let's go.
Okay, so we're going to bring the head round to this machine here.
Which is a very cool machine.
This is called Surdy. I'm very passionate about this machine. I think it's brilliant. It's really cool how it works.
Yeah. And so this is like a Rolls Royce.
Yeah, it really is.
Escort van.
Yeah, and you could put 3 angles on this. You could set a stop on it. You can it's just a really good machine for doing things. Like, it's so accurate. There is some pitting on the seats. You can see, for example, there on the inlets, there's a little bit of pitting. Now, lapping will never get rid of that, ever. Yeah. You can make it shinier, and you can believe you've done something, but it's never going to do that. There's an angle there. Yeah. Then you've got the 45, and then you've got like a small kind of 30 on the top. So for this purpose, we'll just refresh that 45. If it was something performance-based, we would play around with different angles. We could do 30, 35, 60, whatever.
And the idea of those extra surfaces is actually just trying to help the air sort of hug its way in and out of the ports.
So like, if you were polishing and porting a head, the worst thing you can do is make it shiny.
Right.
Everyone goes for the magpie effect. Shiny is better, it's not. So what happens is, if you have a smooth layer on the port, your fuel will not stay atomised. It'll make little blobs on the outside, on the port.
Okay, yes, you actually want a rough surface.
So you want that rough surface, so you can make a turbulent sort of layer there. Yeah. So the fuel and air mixture doesn't then stick to the sides.
Yes.
But people always go shiny.
But actually, I remember we played around with whatever car it was we were doing on Wheelie Dealers, and it was basically, we ended up with the compromise of, well, actually, if you have it rough on the way in, and then smooth on the way out. Yeah. So would you agree with that when it comes to exhaust valves?
On the way out, it's not really that much of a problem, really. the idea of getting it out is just get it out as quick as possible. Yeah. Getting it in there is the important bit, really. It's not about size, it's more about shape, airspeed, velocity, that kind of thing. But this is a forklift, so we're just going to do a good job.
It's going to be a sporty boiler, but yes.
On the exhaust, we're going to make the exhaust seat quite wide. Right. To distribute the load over it. Yeah, so if you made it 1.5 mil, 2 mil, say, that exhaust valve, effectively, all that force is just going to go on a small area.
Right, with you.
Effectively like a set of high heels compared to an elephant's foot.
Yes.
Okay. Same sort of thing. Yeah. But if you put all that weight through one small area, it's not really going to work. Right, so that's pretty much set up now. So what we're going to use is a pilot that measures 314 thou and 2 tenths.
Okay, that's very specific. Yeah.
The valve has got 1 thou 2 tenths clearance. Yep. We can pop that in there. You can see there's no play in there. You pop the spirit level on here and just make sure it's roughly central. Yes. Doesn't have to be exact because the machine will do that for us.
Yeah. So you have all the different pilots on the wall there. So
we've got a massive range up there. Here we've got a straight 45-degree cutter, which is what we'll be using on this. Yeah. And then you have multi-angle cutters like this, which is a 3-angle on this one. So you've got a 30, a 1.5 mil 40-degree, and a 60-degree. So that's what you'd use on something a bit more performance-based.
Yes, and again, that's just to try and help the air get in.
Yeah, so you're trying to make that air move as smoothly and quickly as possible. Yeah. So I've set the cutter up, and you pop it in there, and you can see the 45 ever so slightly just extends past what's already there.
Yeah, okay.
So this machine floats on a bed of air and self-centralises. So when you put your foot on the pedal down here, this allows you backwards and forwards motion, side to side. And then when you flick these through here, this is on like a big ball in there, and it just floats on air.
Oh, look at that. So it's like a big air spring.
Yeah, and it'll just sort of self-centralise where it needs to be.
It kind of guarantees that your alignment is going to be spot on.
So we'll go into the guide here, what it is. So we take the foot off there, and you can see in here wobbles around. We're waiting for them arrows to stop moving. They don't have to be in line, just to stop moving like that. And now that machine is ready and set up, ready to cut that seat.
That's amazing.
If you pop it on, you can adjust the speed. So you can do 1200 RPM all the way down to about 100 RPM.
Okay.
250 will do, somewhere around there. And we're just going to just kiss the seat ever so slightly. You want to take as little off as possible. And just like that. That seat should be fully clean now. We can bring this to one side, out the way. Yep. Any swarf or muck on here and it won't float anymore. No, because you can't blow it, we have to suck it. Like that. We'll just give it a little wipe off, and there's a few sort of signs that you know you're going to have a good sealing seat. So as long as that's free from dirt and the valve's free from dirt, what we can do is when we pop this in, if it bounces, you can almost guarantee it's sealed. So if you listen, hear the bounce?
Yeah.
It wants to bounce, so that will probably back up absolutely perfect, like that. And then if you listen, so this one here probably won't bounce.
Okay, yes, that's quite dead. Got it.
Yeah? So it just means you're both perfectly 45 degrees.
Yeah.
So it's just sitting on there
Yeah.
perfect.
But when it's not, then it kind of bounces that way.
Yeah, it can, yeah.
So literally, but that's it. So you cut that seat and it's now
Yeah,
sweet.
so that won't need lapping in. You could lap it in if you want to see where it's sitting.
Yeah.
Or you could just use a
engineer's blue.
little bit of engineer's blue.
Wow.
That valve's now blued up. We can just... Now, if this is right, there should be a lovely blue ring all the way around there to show us where it's seating, which there is.
Which there is.
Absolutely spot on.
I reckon you should do this for a living.
Maybe one day, when I'm good enough.
I love that, that's brilliant. Okay.
But where we're taking such minute amounts off,
Yeah.
so if you look at the clock on here, you probably find we're not even taking 5 thou off. So we zeroed the clock there. I reckon that's clean now. And there we've taken a thou off the seat.
Okay, tiny,
Yeah.
isn't it really? I mean, it's
Yeah.
amazing.
Then again, we've got that nice bounce. Then use a vacuum tester, put it on there. A perfect seal.
That's amazing. Lovely.
So if we measure a human hair, so if you just pull us out a hair, because unfortunately I don't really have anything to
I will let you keep
volunteer.
this. So which one do I want? Well, I can't actually see. Oh, there's a couple there.
Right, so we've got a hair. So if I screw this all the way down, yeah, we're 0. Okay? We're going to measure the thickness of one of Ed's hairs. So Ed's hair is 2 thou thick. So that's 2/1000ths of an inch. If you see if I pull that, it's not coming out. I've tightened that down on it. But Ed's hair is 2 thou thick. So to give you relevance on the guide, we've got 1 thou and 2/10 clearance. So about half your hair. We can put Ed's hair over this seat, over this 45 degree.
Yeah.
We can lower this valve down onto it, like so. We don't want to snap the hair in half. And if we vacuum test it again now,
Oh, well, yes.
if we look at the gauge,
Oh, my word. It's really struggling.
so it won't back up. It's not sealed. It only goes up to 0.4,
Amazing.
just from one human hair in there.
That's quite incredible. So that's making quite a big difference to the vacuum. So therefore,
Yeah.
I mean, how much performance lost does that mean?
You'll get running issues, misfiring, you could potentially burn a valve out.
Right.
So just to prove Ed's hair is still in there, and we'll take the hair out, pop that valve back down, and we can vacuum test it again.
That
and
is
it goes
amazing.
straight up.
That is amazing.
So that's the sort of tolerances we're working to for
Then
the
you
time.
can keep that hair, or I'll
Oh,
have it
amazing!
taken.
Yeah, I'll have that. I'll put that on
You
eBay
can
later.
use it. So now we've done those two, we can now do the same thing again on presumably on the other two
Yeah.
inlet ports.
And then we'll flip it over, take it off, flip it round, and we'll do the exhaust. So if you remember earlier, this one had that duff noise
Yes.
when we bounced it.
Yeah.
And I remember I said it took a little bit more to clean up.
Yeah. Anyway,
If you put this in now, got the bounce back.
nice. You've literally put the bounce back into our engine. I
Let's
love
hope
that.
so.
Well, I'll let you come and move the first pallet if you want.
Right, so we're set up here now.
Lovely.
Okay, so we'll go with this one.
I love the way it's just sort of finding itself. I wonder how it knows.
So you can hear on this, we're going to have to take a bit more of these exhaust seats already. So we're about there now.
Again, I mean, how much are we removing there, do you think? It was,
Probably 4 thou maybe.
right. It does look marked difference.
Yeah. Try listening for that bounce again.
There's a little bit of stuff in there, I think. A little bit
Yeah.
of swarf, maybe.
Not as clean as it could be. Better.
That's amazing, actually, that again, like a tiny bit of swarf,
Yeah.
as we saw with the hair, is enough to mess it up. So, of course, that's, I guess, when if your engine's running sooty,
Yep.
for example, or you happen to suck in a load of sand or dust, if you don't have an air filter,
Yep.
that can all easily affect the performance of your
Definitely.
engine. So, wow.
So what we'll do on this one, I've not tried this before, but we'll give it a go.
Yeah.
I'll put some blue on here.
Okay. And that should go into all the pits, shouldn't it? Hopefully.
I'm hoping. I've not tried it before. So if you put a bit of blue on there, So what I'll do now, I'll try and put a nice light cut on here, and I'm hoping that whatever's left behind will show up as blue pits.
Yes, so we can see how awful it really is. That's quite a healthy cut, to be fair.
And it has worked to a certain extent.
And again, all of this is just going to mean it's just not going to run as well.
Correct. I'll need to cut it a bit more because obviously we want to get rid of that pitting.
Yeah. It should last 50,000 miles.
Oh, and the rest.
100,000 miles?
Yeah.
Yeah, as you can hear again, it's not quite lined up, is it? Again on this side, on the back edge there.
Yeah, and you can see it here as well.
Well, that's brilliant then. So all of our exhaust valves have also got full vacuum as well, which is great. So that means now the cutting of the valves and the canal seats is now complete, but there's still quite a bit of work we have to do on this.
Yeah, so we need to face the head.
Yep.
What we'll do is we'll just tip the back of the valve just to make them clean.
Yeah.
So the rockers look something nice to sit on. There might be like a little dimple on there.
Okay.
Then we'll assemble the head.
Yep.
Put some new stem seals on it, assemble it, vac test it again, and then you should be good to go.
Fantastic. Let's crack on. Lovely. Right then, so our engineer's blue is now dried, so we're just going to do like a light skim.
Yep.
Just to see, and there's a big, whacking great big fly cutter inside here.
Yep.
A little bit on the end there.
So we've set it up end to end perfect.
Yep.
We've set it up side to side perfect.
Yep.
So now we're going to put about 1 thou to 1.5 thou cut on it, and then we'll see how bad it is.
Yes.
So any blue that's left behind is going to be a low spot.
Yeah. So when a head gasket kind of digs into a head, normally how deep would that go?
It can all depend. So diesels are worse than petrols.
Yeah.
And again, multi-layer steel is the worst of the worst.
Yeah.
They seal brilliantly, don't get me wrong.
But that's because they bite in.
But yeah, that is because they dig real in. Like sometimes you can feel them like 10, 20 thou with your fingernail. Yeah, but they really bite in.
So literally, the cut we're doing now, just to see where we're at, actually wouldn't even necessarily be halfway there as far as damage. No. That's amazing.
So this head I'm expecting to be pretty good. I might be proved wrong in a minute, but it's a petrol head, it's had pretty light use, it probably hasn't gone through millions of heat cycles, so it's probably going to be pretty flat.
Although again the LPG runs a bit hotter, doesn't it, and it's got less sort of lubrication, so who knows. But then actually, I mean, we found that the bores were a little bit glazed, at least certainly one of them was very bad. But you haven't found that the valve seat's particularly hard, or so it's not like there's any real abuse, is there? It was just really. I guess just a lack of quality, in as much as you've got the pitting, you've got the kind of the slight sort of gaps. And
it's a bit of everything, really. Yeah. And as well with forklifts as well, they can be sat up for months, not in use, and things like that. And
I think ours is already. Well, I don't know how long it was sat up with the engine in a box, but frankly, it was sat up doing nothing for 5 years. Just waiting.
That's the worst thing you could do. Anything mechanical, you're better off using it.
Yeah. And if we do lose the GoPro into the cutter, it's going to be messy but brilliant.
Yeah, it'd be a great shot. It looks like it's cleaning pretty well, to be fair. I might be a bit disappointed with the whole blue. It's actually really good. Yeah. Which is kind of disappointing.
You were hoping for worse.
Yeah, I wanted it to be quite cool.
So it's actually, I mean, I don't actually know how many hours the forklift has done. But looking at that, it's really not had that much abuse at all, has it?
It's actually perfect.
So half the width of a hair, and it's flat as a flat thing. So that's amazing. There's a little tiny nick there.
Yeah, and a little bit there, but that's not going to cause you any issues.
No.
That is extremely straight. So, and especially like with aluminium as well, I'd always recommend, even if you think it's straight, get it faced. Yeah. It's not a lot of money, but you've gone through a heat cycle, then you've untorqued it, and aluminium is soft.
Yes.
So it
will just kind of relax
always,
and
to some degree, it will distort pretty much always. So what we're going to do now we're going to put a little chamfer on the edge of these combustion chambers.
Yeah.
Because we don't want any pre-detonation. So anything sharp in a combustion chamber creates heat. And then you're going to get pre-ignition, it's going to start pinking and things like that. So we're going to just put, it don't have to be, you know, a lovely radius, just so it's not sharp.
Just to knock it sharp. Because I think that's one of the problems again with diesels, isn't it? When you get soot build up, you end up, because then that glows hot, and of course that can also, and then of course that can also cause sort of like a running on when you turn off the engine.
That's correct, yeah.
So back in the day, of course, you'd have many diesels, or the old stuff, could potentially either run backwards, so when you turn it off, it then fires back up again backwards, and you can't turn it off. So now that's why you have all the fuel shut-offs, isn't it?
Okay.
Lovely.
First thing on this, we're going to put the stem seals on.
Yep, okay.
So we've got a special sort of tool here, just stops damaging them. We pop that over the top of the
keeps
guide.
it all parallel. That's smart.
Just tap it down till it's home.
That is so much easier than trying to do it without that tool.
I mean, you can do it with a socket, but sometimes it's not, you know, it works, but some...
Yeah, but sometimes... anything, isn't it? I mean, that's why this tool exists, because it's made that world easy. And obviously these are all the parts that came with the rebuild kit. So, and I think from what I remember, getting the other ones off, they weren't looking so healthy afterwards anyway. So
no.
It's probably just good practice just to change them, isn't it? So.
Yeah, I mean, if the engine's this far apart, why you wouldn't change these, I really don't know.
The oil seals are often what's sort of the problem with smoky engines and stuff, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, particularly smoky starting, isn't it, I guess?
Yeah. Or when you're sat at traffic lights, for example, for a while and then you pull away. Yeah. It's another sign of stem seals being worn. Okay, so our stem seals are on.
Cool.
They're good. And then basically we're just going to pop the valves in. So we need to find out where's what. So right, this is the inlet side.
Yep.
So inlet side, we'll take a nice clean rag and just give these a little wipe off, because as we spoke about earlier, the tiniest little bit of dirt, and it's game over. And this is just some assembly grease. Just pop her in there. Give it a little spin up, cover it in grease.
Okay.
And then just pop her in.
That's cool.
Job's a good one.
That's just really the grease is also, the grease and the seal actually holding it in place, aren't they? Because otherwise it would just drop through.
Yeah. And then you'll see in a minute, this head's not too bad because it's not like it's down a hole or anything like that, or they're not deep. But when you come to put the collets in, this grease with a little bit of grease
it actually holds onto them.
Yeah, on a scalpel, you can hold the collet and then just pop it on.
Yeah.
But it's, like I say, on this it's not too bad because they're not deep down a hole or anything like that. When it comes to putting the cams back in, I use, it's kind of like jelly, sort of snotty stuff, really.
Okay.
And it just hangs around forever.
Yeah.
And that's ideal. Grease has got its place, but it's a bit thick.
Yeah.
For that sort of application. But obviously, first start-ups on a freshly done engine and cold start-ups in general is obviously where you're going to have. Yeah. That's where, you know, most of your wear is.
So with this actually, so like with any engine, once you've got it all back together again, probably on the bench for the first time, we just hand crank it around until we've just got oil around the system. Yeah. And then you want to sort of spin it up to get oil pressure before we actually try and make it run.
So basically, how I would do it is I'd have the oil light plugged in. Yeah. I'd make sure there is no way the engine can start, either take the injectors out, spark plugs, anything like that, and just turn it over on the starter motor until the oil light goes out.
Perfect.
Once the oil light goes out, I would then check your oil level again and make sure it's full, because what happens is the oil filter will fill up, there's, you know, quarter of a litre, all the oil galleries will get filled up, there's another quarter of a litre and things like that. So crank it over, make sure the oil light goes out, check your oil level again, make sure it's at maximum, start it up, and you've eliminated so many problems there just doing that simple thing. So right, all the valves are in.
Now are the springs on this the same? Because I know some engines have different versions, don't they?
Some have different lengths. Some are wound in a particular way, where they're closer coils at the bottom to the top. You pop them all on, make sure they're all good. Yeah. So they're all good. pop the spring caps on. We're going to press that in there like that. Then we are going to get our collets, which are here.
Something we prepared earlier.
Like just on Blue Peter, that is. Bit of grease on the scalpel.
Oh, on the back of the collet. Yeah, that's clever.
Then it's not falling in it. So when you've got to go right down into like a bucket housing, it stays on there. And then obviously you've got the grease already on the valve, so a little bit will go in the collet groove.
Yeah, that's a great top tip.
And that will go in there like that.
Oh, lovely. Tricky to make that
Slide
seat as
up.
it goes up, otherwise you can get them caught, can't you? Then it'll ping off and... Lovely. Awesome.
There we go.
Is this just multi-purpose grease?
This is Joe Gibbs breaking in grease, engine building grease. Very high zinc content.
Oh, that's interesting.
Right.
Look at that.
Boom.
So that's all our old original collets with our new valve stem oil seals and our original springs, caps. Yep. So that head is basically done. So now all we have to do is quickly wang it into a forklift engine.
No, we've got an important step first.
Ah. Oh, we're going to see the vacuum now.
We are.
Good thinking.
Because, so we vacuum it before we do it to see what's wrong.
Yeah.
We vacuum it after we cut the seats to make sure the seats have been cut correctly.
Yeah.
And then we're going to vacuum it again when we're finished, just to make sure I've assembled it correctly. None of your airs are falling out and stuck in there.
It could happen.
Do you know what I mean? We're going to check it again.
That's very exciting.
No,
So this one is exhaust.
This is the exhaust, yeah. Beautiful.
Very satisfying. So we have good vacuum on all of them, so our valves are now working exactly how they should be.
Yep.
But they're actually better than ever before because we've got rid of all those horrible pittings.
Indeed, yeah.
So the next thing we need to worry about, of course, we're going to have to sort out the pistons, swap those over. We're also going to have to re-grind the crank, unfortunately, but of course that's going to be probably a job for another day, to be honest. And I think other than that, this is now done, isn't it?
It is.
Brilliant.
It's finished.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, sir. Cheers.
That's okay, thank you.
What an amazing machine shop. They've got so many incredible machines for actually doing all kinds of groovy stuff to your engines. It's actually quite inspiring, quite exciting. What's slightly weird about all this is I'm actually now getting quite excited about my own little forklift truck. I mean, they're not really desirable vehicles, are they? Nobody gets excited about those normally, but I really am. And because we're now working on the heart of it, I guess I'm making some kind of strange connection. I think we're going to have to do a little bit more than just get it working. We may have to make it sort of a bit more polished, a bit more special. But now our head is done, so our valves have been cut, the valve seats have been cut, we've got new valve stem oil seals, everything's been assembled. So this is now ready to be bolted onto the block, which of course we had done last time, which has now been relined and rebored. So all that's left before we can get this thing put together and get it running is going to be changing over those pistons and also re-grinding the crank. And of course putting it all together. But all of that is a job for another day, but we are definitely making some progress.